Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your November 2016 mid-month readings. I am using sorry, the Gilded Tarot by Cyril Marchetti, my usual general readings deck. And even though we're focusing more on the last half of November than the month in its entirety, I'm still going to be pulling the same number of cards, 8 cards with an additional ninth card from the bottom of the deck as your crowning card, representing overall energy and advice for the reading. These are general readings, and there's a lot of you watching, and everyone has different things going on in their lives. So, if this is your primary sun sign, it may or may not resonate for you as predictively as your rising and your moon signs. So, make sure to check those as well. You may find that you get different bits of information that are relevant and pertinent to you in each of your signs, sun, moon, and rising, so that by watching all three of them, the picture is more clear and more cohesive of the time frame ahead that the reading covers. So it's always a good idea to watch all three if you know them and if you can. Always a note of gratitude before we start to those of you who continue to watch and listen and follow so faithfully and so loyally. Thank you very much for your support and your feedback. It means very much to me. It is, in fact, the reason why I do this. The comments are great. Keep them coming. Thank you to those of you who, and welcome to any newcomers too. Thank you for watching and for subscribing should you choose to do so. Thank you to those of you who continue to reach out for personal one-on-one readings. It is a pleasure and an honor always to read for you. And I'm very grateful for the trust that you place in me to interpret and intuit the cards for you. And thank you to my regular clients for allowing me to be such an ongoing part of the chapters of your life as they continue to unfold, and for the frequent updates on how those readings continue to play out in your lives. It's a pleasure and a delight. Thank you. And if any of you are interested in a personal reading with me, or for any friends of yours, we are approaching the holiday seasons, and I'm already getting orders for gift readings for people. It is a lovely and very personal and unique gift for friends and family and loved ones. Of course, you can do them any time of the year, but the holidays is when I usually get requests for more of them. So if you're interested in purchasing a gift reading for someone or for yourself, you can click on the little About button on my YouTube channel's homepage, and you can find a little more information there and my email address as well. You can contact me directly at Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. I do readings full time, 6 days a week, so I'm able to get back with you pretty quickly and schedule a reading within a fairly timely fashion. Current turnaround time is anywhere from a few days up to 2 weeks, but almost always within 2 weeks we can schedule something for you. So if you're interested, send me an email and we'll go from there. So moving right along, let's get into this. This reading is for Pisces for November 2016 mid-month. What does the remainder of November 2016 have in store for the water sign of Pisces, our lovely mercurial fish? Pisces for November 2016 mid-month. Pisces, November 2016 mid-month. What do they need to know to successfully navigate through the remainder of November 2016? Pisces, November 2016 mid-month. Okay, Pisces. We begin with the Page of Swords, followed by Justice. We have the Three of Swords, followed by the Five of Swords. We have the Knight of Swords, followed by the Page of Cups, and the Two of Swords, followed by the Knight of Cups. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and advice, we have Death or Transformation. I'm going to pull one more, Ace of Swords. I feel like that belongs. A lot of swords, Pisces, a lot of conversations, words, potentially challenge in terms of challenges with communication. I'm feeling kind of maybe family communication, family conversations may be a little challenging. But of course, challenges present opportunities for change and growth as well. Your overall energy is transformational. It looks like there's going to be opportunity for some things to transform, particularly relationships, I think, or a way of communicating with people or with one person in particular. And again, although I'm not getting a strong indication from the cards, I'm getting a very strong feeling, a sense of intuition that for a lot of you, this is about family within your family system itself. Of course, here in the United States, we are celebrating Thanksgiving this month, and we're going into the holiday season, and that can be kind of challenging in family dynamics when a lot of different people get together. Let me just take a quick look at this. Five, six sword cards, Pisces, which is where we start with swords. So let's begin, Pisces. We find ourselves in the middle of November 2016 with the Page of Swords. Swords is governed by air. It's a cerebral, mental, intellectual energy. It's about words, ideas, communication, conversations, belief systems, our outlook, how we think about things, where we put things in our heads, and how we communicate with other people. Pages are the youngest and least mature energies of the tarot. They often represent messages or messengers. And the Page of Swords would be a message that would be coming, uh, either delivered by somebody else or delivered by you. But I feel like we have the Knight of Swords in here as well. I feel like communications and conversation is pretty prevalent over the next couple of weeks for you, Pisces. Again, I think for a lot of you, I'm feeling like it's something to do with conversations or communications, addressing something within your family dynamics, within your family, relatives, parents, perhaps, or kids even. The Page of Swords represents a message being delivered, communication, words being kind of put out to someone else. I feel like for a lot of you, this is about one particular relationship. For some of you, it's parents, although there's a lot of you watching, it could be really anybody. The Page of Swords can sometimes, the way that he delivers his message or communication can sometimes come across, along with that Knight of Swords as well. Sometimes it can come across as a little too brash or abrupt or lacking emotion or compassion. He doesn't necessarily mean for it to be delivered that way, but he's a page, so he hasn't kind of evolved or matured through the page, knight, queen, king stage. It can represent news or information being brought. It's very direct. It's very to the point. It's not sugar coated at all. It may come across as a bit on the harsh side, even though it's not really intended to be that as well. The Page of Swords can also sometimes represent delays in communication, perhaps for those of you for whom, again, I'm getting a specific conversation with a specific person. You may have a plan as to when you want to sit down and talk to somebody or tell somebody something, and there may be a little bit of a delay in getting together. Sometimes the Page of Swords, and you again, I'm looking at the page and the Knight of Swords here because I feel like it kind of represents the same person. And for some of you, it's going to be you, and for some of you, it's going to be somebody else who's instigating this communication or conversation. It can sometimes represent being in a situation where you feel compelled to stand up and speak the truth, even though it's very difficult. It's a challenging sort of thing for you to do. For some of you, it's being caught or feeling like you're in a moral or ethical dilemma and feeling like you need to stand up and speak the truth about something. For some of you, this is a relationship within within your family system that where you feel like something needs to be addressed or laid to rest, or some resolution or reconciliation or closure needs to be brought. But that's where we begin, trying to get the words out, trying to get the message, the information out. Now, the Page of Swords is paired with the Major Arcana card of Justice. This is the reap what you sow card. What you put into something is exactly what you're going to get out of it. And so, of course, the advice would be, the best ideals or the highest ideals, of course, taking the high road if you can. Um, to go into something with as much transparency and honesty and truth and integrity as you can, because that's what's going to affect and influence the outcome and the result. For those of you for whom are waiting for communication about something or news or a message about something, there may be a bit of a delay, but I do feel like it is coming sometime over the next couple of weeks. And in the upright position, it would be a strong indication that it would be in your favor, including business deals, contracts, negotiations, etc. But for those of you for whom this represents needing to, feeling compelled to have perhaps maybe a difficult conversation or address something with somebody, um, I feel like there's a high chance for it to turn out well, but it's going to be strongly affected and influenced by the manner in which you present what you need to say. And you may want to sit down before this conversation, either with yourself or perhaps somebody else, a trusted friend or advisor, or mentor, or counselor, and kind of have a bit of a plan, kind of figure out what's the most important thing that I need to say, what are the most important things that I want this other person or people to hear, and kind of come up with a game plan for the best way to present that. So not only do you feel like you get it out and it's validated, but the other person hears it as well. That feels very specific too. So somebody out there must need to hear this. So next to that, we have the Three of Swords paired with the Five of Swords. A lot more messages, a lot more conversation, communication here. So the Three of Swords is a card of heartbreak and heartache. It can represent a sense of deep emotional pain or a sense of deep disappointment. It can sometimes have a bit of energy of betrayal as well. This card sometimes comes up in relationships where there's been issues with infidelity or cheating, because there's three swords piercing this heart, not two. There's a triangular energy to this, and this situation, what you want to deal with or what needs to be dealt with. Or what you're wanting to deal with over the next few weeks could involve you and two other people. There could be three people involved in this as well. Again, I'm getting a connection to something within the family system that needs to be addressed. And for those of you for whom that resonates, it feels, there's almost a reluctance to do it, but again, a strong compulsion of needing to speak your truth, needing to get your feelings out, your thoughts and your feelings out about this. And I feel like for a lot of you, it has to do with some kind of emotional pain, some kind of heartbreak. I don't feel like for most of you, this is something coming in. I feel like it's something that it's already occurred, whether it's recently or for some of you, it's quite old. But something that you're finally ready to talk about, to confront, to bring closure to this, whatever the source of this emotional pain is. Now, the Three of Swords is paired with the Five of Swords. And it's sitting right next to that justice card too. Again, another cautionary piece of advice of how you go about doing this, and make sure before you have any difficult or challenging communications or conversations or deliver any messages of that sort. And this also applies for those of you for whom somebody is it's external coming into you. Somebody's wanting to sit down and talk to you about something. Make sure that it's really what you want and that it's worth investing, the energy in, or if you're pretty certain it's going to result in a conflict or an argument of some kind, make sure that you feel it's actually worth engaging in. Kind of choose your battles wisely, because it could come at a cost. The question that accompanies the Five of Swords is always, is it worth it? For some of you, the answer is going to be yes, and for some, it may be no. Technically, it's a card of victory, because this man has just finished a battle of some kind, a challenge or a difficult conversation, and he's won. He's the victor. His opponents or foes or enemies are on the ground behind him, defeated. He's gathered up all their weapons and he's holding his own aloft in victory. But I mean, the colors and the whole kind of air of the scene is still kind of murky and kind of grim and bleak. He doesn't look particularly victorious. He looks tired, worn out, defeated. It could represent that whatever the situation is, a lot has gone into it, and you're finally achieving victory, although it's come at a high cost. You're finally achieving victory, closure, reconciliation, or just closure, whether it includes reconciliation or not. He looks tired and worn out. He's bleeding from a little cut on his forehead. This battle has obviously cost him a lot, and the question is whether it's worth it. Sometimes this card comes up when winning or being right. Or being heard at any cost, no matter how you deliver your communication, it may end up coming at the cost of other people's feelings or of the relationships themselves. And again, for some of you, even if that happens, you may decide that it needs to happen. That even if the cost of getting your truth out and confronting whatever this is, even if it comes at the cost of a personal relationship, some of you may make the decision that you're willing to take that chance because it needs to happen, and some of you may not. It's going to vary depending on what's going on in the lives of the people watching this. But but the question is to be careful how you proceed through something, because it may make the difference in whether or not you retain certain relationships or a relationship in your life. Sometimes it's about choosing your battles wisely too. And figuring out if the risk is worth the gain, actually. But again, it's about this emotional pain, and I'm not getting a sense that this is coming, this Three of Swords energy, emotional pain or heartbreak or loss or disappointment is coming in. I feel like it's something that's already happened either just recently, or for some of you, it may be quite old, particularly those of you for whom this is something within your family system, your family dynamics that's old, that you're just ready now to try and put some closure to. Now, next to that, we have the Knight of Swords with the Page of Cups. Kind of similar messages echoing in each combination of cards. So the Knight of Swords, very much like the Page of Swords, only a bit more active and intentional. Knights are the bringers of the tarot. They're the deliverers of the tarot. They are the method by which something is brought to you or that you bring to somebody else. And they can also represent the speed at which a situation moves at. Typically, when you see knights, they represent something coming in, or something being brought to you, or you bringing something to somebody else, or what you contribute to a situation, an offer, an offering, an opportunity, something incoming. What is this knight bringing? Well, just like the page, he's the Knight of Swords, so it's news, it's messages, it's information, delivered very, very bluntly, very, very straightforward to the point, very truthfully, at least hopefully. As sometimes it can represent news or information that's delivered in an inconvenient way or at an inconvenient time. Again, the intent sometimes with the Knight of Swords is not to be cold or harsh, but he might sometimes come across that way because he comes charging right in, lays down the information, and then goes charging right off again. Um, so it's about, this is where the conversation begins. And he's paired with the Page of Cups, which is a bit of a different energy. And I'm feeling like this is more advice for those of you who need to sit down and have a conversation with somebody, confront something, address something over the next few weeks. The advice is to temper that air energy, temper that sword, that very, short, sweet, to the point. Temper that with some compassion and love, and maybe not quite so many sharp edges. That Knight of Swords is paired with the Page of Cups. So here's another page, another message being brought. But this is a softer one than the sword energy because it's cups. It's the Page of Cups. Cups is governed by the element of water. So softer, more fluid, more mercurial, more flexible. Cups governs feelings, emotions, love, relationships, how we relate to people. So this would be a message delivered. It would be an emotional message, but it would also be a message of love as well. And paired with the Knight of Swords, again, I feel like for those of you for whom all of this information, whatever needs to be addressed, that you're the one initiating it, make sure to temper the message, the information with, not lying and not sugarcoating things too much, But the truth delivered without an ounce of compassion is just can come across as mean or cruel, particularly if your goal is to not only get your feelings validated and your thoughts heard, but if you really want the person to receive them and understand them, you want to present them in a way that they're going to be as open as possible. So it's about tempering that message, this conversation, trying to bring a sense of love or compassion and openness to it as well. And if it's somebody who's sitting down with you, if this is external energy coming in, again, keep that energy in mind. It's kind of all about balancing it out because it feels like it's about an emotional issue or emotions and feelings. Again, from something that's happened in the past, although it could be recent or long ago. But definitely an opportunity. It feels like there's an opportunity for healing, an opportunity to open up dialogue, to maybe open up a bridge between you and somebody else. But it's about being careful in how you do it, maintaining a balance between speaking the truth, but having some measure of love and compassion in there as well. Now, at or towards the end of the month, we have the Two of Swords. And again, I just wanted to say something else that just came in too. You may be the primary support person for somebody else who's actually going through this. It might not involve you directly, but it may be somebody that you're very close to, a best friend, a family member, a partner, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, who's actually dealing with this, and you are there with them. You are the one helping to kind of provide love, support, compassion, advice, guidance in how to do this as well. I think that for some of you, you're the support person for somebody who's going through this. So at or towards the end of the month, we have the Two of Swords paired with the Knight of Cups. Same kind of energy, same echoing message here. The Two of Swords is a card of feeling stuck at a crossroads. Twos do represent duality. They can represent balance, duality, crossroads, needing to make a decision. This represents being stuck in that place, knowing that you need to make a decision, knowing that you need to choose a path, but being unwilling or really reluctant to do so. This woman is blindfolded, representing that there's something in front of her that needs to be dealt with, something that needs to be resolved, confronted. I always get the sense that if she took this blindfold off, the choice, the path would actually be clear, which is why she keeps it on, because she doesn't want to deal with whatever it is in front of her. But the fact that it comes up represents that it needs to. And at or towards the end of November 2016, it feels like this is kind of when it needs to happen. Although, again, if there's a sense of reluctance in doing that. Now, the Two of Swords, and perhaps because it is an emotional issue and therefore difficult, there's a sense of not wanting to look at something head on, and make a choice because you feel like it's going to hurt, but you're afraid of it somehow, or somebody that you're close to is afraid of it somehow. But again, this is about the opportunity to get things out in as balanced a way as possible, so that healing can happen, potential reconciliation can happen, or at the very least, an agreement for closure so that we can move on. That Two of Swords is paired with the Knight of Cups. Here's another knight. Here's something else being brought, and it's right next to the Page of Cups. This is being delivered. This is love here. This is an offer, offering opportunity for love. This could be messages of love. This could be emotional support as well. For those of you, I'm feeling you are the emotional support person for somebody who's going through this. For some of you, it's you going through this. And again, this could represent somebody else who's helping you, being a source of support for you. Likely a water sign, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. There's water and air energy here. So we're talking Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, and Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. This is messages of love. This is emotional support. This is and it's either helping you or helping somebody else get out of this being stuck energy of not wanting to deal with it, of either being given or providing that sense of support. It's okay to do this. It's okay to take the blindfold off. I'm right here. I'm going to help you. You have my love. You have my support. Huge opportunities for transformation. And I feel like, you know, you can always apply the same energy to job and career front. And I mean, it could be that as well, though, to be honest, I'm not getting an ounce of that. So, for those of you who are kind of looking for advice or guidance in that arena, you may want to check some of your other signs because it's not coming across to me in this reading. It's more about communication, conversations, trying to bring closure to something, addressing something, speaking your truth about something, some emotional challenges, but relationship oriented, but huge, huge opportunity for growth and transformation because. Um, and what's going to make it successful and easier is this balance of speaking the truth, but also having love and compassion in there as well. Your overall crowning cards are death, transformation, and the Ace of Swords. So, significant opportunities for growth, for transformation, for a rebirth, for a new beginning, which is what death represents. It represents something coming to an end, a chapter closing. And then, of course, after that is where rebirth happens, new beginnings. But there needs to be a closing of this door, a final closing of this door, whatever it represents. I mean, the energy remains the same regardless of what the specifics are for those of you watching. There is an opportunity to bring a final kind of closure to something over the next few weeks, Pisces. And I say opportunity because you may or may not choose to do it, or the person that you're supporting or trying to do this with may or may not be on board. We can only do the best that we can and then move on. There's going to be an opportunity to have a new outlook, to look at this in a different kind of way. Death transformation is accompanied by the Ace of Swords. Again, we have that air energy here. Aces represent the one's potential, the promise of what could be, the start of something that could actually grow and manifest into something much bigger, much more profound and beautiful. The Ace of Swords comes in with clarity. It cuts away fantasy and illusion and exposes something for the reality of it is and makes a path or a solution easier to see. Maybe not easier to take, but easier to see. It is ultimately a card of success because it provides us with a clear path, a clear direction to take, a new outlook, a new mind frame, a new perspective, if you will, kind of the epiphany, the aha moment where everything becomes clear. And again, a way opens up in front of you and you see it for the truth that it really is, which is transformative or provides the opportunity for transformation and change. So, a very powerful and wonderful reading. It's all about laying to rest that which needs to be laid to rest, putting closure on something so you can move forward without, uh, without a lot of the baggage that comes from dragging along a lot of open wounds. It's about putting closure so you can have a new beginning, which is really quite beautiful. And having that balance between truth and communication and love and compassion as well. Be careful how you communicate with people over the next few weeks, Pisces. Make sure that your truth and what you speak to the best of your ability is tempered with some compassion and wisdom as well. And if somebody's bringing messages or information to you that is difficult to take, and they're not maybe kind of working so hard to temper that with compassion and love, try and view it through those lens if possible, so that you can have the best possible outcome. Closure and reconciliation, and really in the end it's about letting go of what doesn't serve you, baggage you no longer need, so you can move on into a beautiful new future on a very clear path. So, Pisces, I hope you've enjoyed this reading. I hope you find it useful. I hope that it gives you a little bit of insight into what some of you are going through over the next few weeks if it's relevant to you. Thank you very much for watching. And if any of you are interested in a personal reading, again, you can click on that little About button on my YouTube channel's homepage, and you can email me directly at Maggie, the number one, McGuire at gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the December 2016 general readings. And until then, Pisces, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. And I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.